can't just erase things.
If you're a fan of the Alien franchise, then you already know this. The Xenomorph is the greatest film monster of the modern era. It's terrifying, unique, and it looks incredible. Every stage of its life cycle is nightmare fuel, from the egg to the facehugger to the chest burster, and finally to the fully grown adult. Every step is horrifying in its own right. It's not just a monster, it's the perfect organism.
Perfect organism.
Which is why it's painful to say, if you love the Xenomorph, Alien Earth is not for you. Xenomorph, I don't know, I'm an Aussie. Yes, the creature in Alien Earth looks like a Xenomorph, sort of, but that's where the similarity ends. This show takes everything that made the Xenomorph one of cinema's greatest monsters and strips it down until it's nothing more than an indestructible attack dog. And worst of all, it's now boring.
What did you do?
Firstly, Alien Earth is one of the most schizophrenic shows I've ever watched. For every clever and interesting idea, like the disturbing eyeball creature, there are multiple idiotic ideas that infect the show like herpes. It's frustrating because you can see the potential buried under the nonsense. In that way, it's a lot like Alien Romulus. Moments of brilliance smothered by baffling creative decisions. And the biggest baffling choice is making the show a prequel. There is absolutely no reason Alien Earth needed to be slotted before the original 1979 Alien. In fact, the story would have made far more sense if it had been set after those events. But, you know, this is modern Hollywood. Everything has to cram itself into the established timeline, desperately trying to leech some of the original film's glory. It's nostalgic cannibalism. But let's not get sidetracked. This video isn't about the timeline. It's about the show's biggest crime, what they did to the Xenomorph. And yes, I know, the Xenomorph name is a loose placeholder name, but that's the one we're using for this video.
A Xenomorph may be involved.
For some reason, the producers of Alien Earth decided to strip away everything that made the Xenomorph unique, fascinating and terrifying, and replace it with a generic run-of-the-mill monster, a monster that is now conveniently indestructible, which means a creature that's less scary than ever before.
Hello, my baby! Hello, my honey!
In case you haven't watched it, here's a quick rundown of the Xenomorph's journey in Alien Earth. A ship carrying alien specimens crashes to Earth in a district controlled by a boy genius. The boy genius is creating androids with human brains, downloaded from dying children. There is an alien on board the ship that decides to go on a killing spree for no apparent reason. Which is one of the main problems. Xenomorphs aren't meant to be just mindless killers, they have a purpose. Anyhow, our first Xenomorph gets killed off screen by our protagonist, Wendy. Luckily for the boy genius, there are some overmorphs on board the ship, which is just a fancy way of saying alien eggs. The boy genius takes the eggs back to his lab, where one egg has its embryo implanted into a lung, while another alien is implanted into a person the old-fashioned way. The implanted embryo is born first and quickly makes a friend of Wendy. This Xenomorph grows quickly and completely forgets what it means to be a Xenomorph. Wendy and the alien start talking with each other. Yes, that's not a joke. The second Xenomorph is born the more natural way and also ends up becoming a friend of Wendy. Yes. I always assumed the facehugger needed to be attached to the host for a certain amount of time to help incubate the embryo and make it grow faster. But this show shows that the embryo only needed to be delivered to the lungs, making the facehugger purely a delivery device. This takes away the importance of the facehugger being attached to the host for so long. By this show's rules, it only needs to be attached for a couple of seconds. Alien Romulus did a similar thing. It seems that these days the length of time that the facehugger needs to be attached to the host and the incubation time in the chest both change to suit the story. In Alien Earth, the Xenomorph is repeatedly blasted at close range with high-powered weapons, which have little to no effect on it. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't even flinch. Nothing. To be fair, the first Xenomorph was killed by Wendy with a paper cutter off screen. But from then on, these fuckers have been fully bulletproof. This completely contradicts everything we've seen in the films. The original Alien survived not because it was invincible, but because the Nostromo crew wasn't equipped to deal with it. If they had proper weapons, knew what they were dealing with, or if they just listened to Ripley and kept Kane in quarantine, the whole disaster could have been avoided. In fact, the original alien is finally dispatched with something as simple as a spear gun, and of course the help of a rocket engine. In Aliens, the Marines are restricted to the weaponry they can use.
We can't have any firing in there. I want you to collect magazines from everybody.
Is he fucking crazy?
But when that is ignored, we watch them mow down multiple aliens.
Let's rock!
The threat wasn't that they were bulletproof, the threat was their numbers, their speed, and the fact you couldn't kill one without risking being splashed with acid. One of the Xenomorph's defining traits is its acid blood. It's quite the defense mechanism. Shoot it and you risk spraying yourself with a corrosive acid. Suddenly, even killing them doesn't guarantee your survival. Alien Earth conveniently sidelines this feature. Why? Because for some reason, the writers don't want their invincible monster to have any weaknesses. The result is a creature stripped of one of its most horrifying and genius qualities. The other main takeaway from the shootout scene in Aliens is that the Xenomorph's main objective is to capture victims alive to use as hosts for their offspring. That's the terrifying part.
The Sarge and Dietrich aren't dead, man. Their signs were real low, but they ain't dead.
Then we go back in there and get them.
Fuck that. I ain't going back in there.
You can't help them.
That's the terrifying part that Alien Earth just forgets. The balance of them being deadly but not indestructible, and the fact that they are trying to capture you, not kill you, is what made the Xenomorphs terrifying. The Alien Earth writers don't understand this. They don't seem to understand the main creature at all.
You're gonna be all right. Please. Kill me. Just stay calm. We're gonna get you out of here.
The life cycle of the Xenomorph is the cornerstone of its horror. It's not just a monster, it's a parasite. From the egg to the facehugger to chest bursting to adulthood, the Xenomorph exists purely to reproduce and expand the hive. The original films explain this beautifully. The egg was a trap, the facehugger a nightmare of forced impregnation, the chest burster a grotesque birth metaphor, and the adult an unstoppable predator whose only instinct was to protect and grow the hive. Each stage was chilling and unforgettable.
Hey, man, I don't want to rain on your parade. We're not going to last 17 hours.
Alien Earth tosses most of that aside. The alien in this show doesn't behave like a hive creature at all. Instead of seeking hosts for reproduction, it acts like a rabid dog, killing for no reason, ignoring the eggs, and showing no instinct for the propagation of the species. Even when one does escape thanks to Wendy, who we'll get to in another video, she's her own disaster, it doesn't try at all to secure hosts for the nearby eggs. It doesn't care about the eggs at all. The Xenomorph's only purpose should be to ensure the survival of its species. But no, it just runs off to protect Wendy like a loyal dog. That's not a Xenomorph. That's a complete misunderstanding of what they are. And then we have Wendy talking to the Xenomorph. And here's where the show goes completely off the rails. Wendy communicates with the Xenomorph using clicks and whistles. Not only does the creature apparently understand her, but it obeys her.
What did you say to it?
Hide and follow.
And tell me I'm your own.
This is ridiculous on multiple levels and highlights the limitations of the writer's imagination. Xenomorphs, like ants or bees, communicate minimally for hive coordination, not through a language humans could mimic. The closest we see to them communicating is in Alien Resurrection, where two Xenomorphs decide to sacrifice one of their own to escape. It should be pointed out that the tone of Alien Resurrection and the portrayal of the Xenomorphs in that film are not exactly celebrated by the fans. But even if they did have a language, what are the odds its structure would resemble anything a human could learn instantly?
Look, beautiful, beautiful little baby.
We've lived with ants for thousands of years. We haven't learned how to communicate with them. Even with our closest primates, we can only teach them instructions to follow that we created. We have never learned how to communicate with them using their signals or language. That leap of logic was like a big cold sore on a partner's lip, too big to ignore. But even if the Xenomorphs did have a full language, which they clearly don't, why on earth would they care what a human says? These are primal, hive-driven creatures with no interest in friendship or obedience. They have no sense of loyalty or command from a completely different species. Domesticating dogs came about from having a mutual goal of survival. You know, we both like food. What mutual goal would an alien hive creature have with an android that has a human mind? What connection would they have? Their connection only exists because the show needs it to exist. By turning the Xenomorph into a trainable pet, the writers destroy the very essence of what made it frightening.
Get away from her, you bitch!
So, Alien Earth takes the most terrifying creature in modern cinema and reduces it to a boring, indestructible pet-like monster. Gone is the hive instinct. Gone is the reproduction drive. Gone is the horrifying idea that this creature won't just kill you. No, it'll keep you alive so you can be impregnated and die later. This show is a portrayal of everything the Xenomorph represented for over 40 years. Alien Earth didn't just change the Xenomorph, it neutered it, it gutted it, it turned the perfect organism into nothing more than a cliche. And for a franchise built on the brilliance of its monster, that is the ultimate sin.